Think you know everything about The Jamie Foxx Show? Think again. From a star's real-life shooting that accidentally launched careers to a hip-hop producer stealing dialogue for beats, this 90s sitcom hides secrets that go far beyond Jamie's hilarious hotel antics. Prepare to discover the bizarre casting disappearances, Marvel connections, and production mysteries that prove this WB comedy was stranger than fiction. Fact 1. A real shooting saved Garrett Morris's career. When Garrett Morris was cast as Uncle Junior King on The Jamie Foxx Show in 1996, it wasn't just another acting gig, it was literally a lifeline that saved his career after a traumatic real-life incident that could have ended everything. In 1994, just 2 years before the show premiered, Morris was shot by a would-be robber in what he later described as an attempted mugging that he tried to fight off. The shooting was so severe that it temporarily derailed Morris's acting career, including his role as Stan Winters on the hit sitcom Martin, where he played Martin Lawrence's boss at the radio station. Morris was unable to continue filming, so the writers had to come up with a creative solution to explain his character's sudden disappearance. They wrote Stan out of the show by having him become a national fugitive, and in one of the most bizarre behind-the-scenes stories in television history, they actually filmed the scene where Stan was about to undergo plastic surgery while Morris was still lying in his real hospital bed, recovering from his actual gunshot wounds. The injury left Morris walking with a cane, and when he made a final guest appearance on Martin during the show's 3rd season, his character's explanation for needing the cane was that he had crashed his car during a police chase, a darkly comic cover story for Morris's real-life trauma. The shooting could have been a career-ending tragedy, but instead, it led directly to his role on The Jamie Foxx Show, which became one of his most beloved and long-running television appearances. According to Morris himself, speaking on Marc Maron's podcast years later, the robber who shot him was eventually caught and imprisoned, and in a strange twist of justice, other inmates who happened to be fans of Morris's work reportedly teamed up to beat up the robber in revenge. The role of Uncle Junior King gave Morris a fresh start and introduced him to a whole new generation of fans who knew him as Jamie's penny-pinching, hotel-owning uncle rather than the groundbreaking Saturday Night Live cast member he had been decades earlier. Fact 2. The vanishing bellhop mystery. One of the strangest mysteries surrounding The Jamie Foxx Show involves a main character who literally vanished from television history without explanation, creating confusion that persists to this day. Andy Berman played Dennis, the hotel bellhop, as a main character throughout the entire 1st season of the show in 1996, appearing in multiple episodes and being featured prominently in the original opening credits alongside Jamie Foxx, Garcelle Beauvais, and the rest of the core cast. However, when the show went into syndication and began airing reruns on various networks, something bizarre happened that has never been officially explained by the producers or the network. The syndicated versions of the show completely removed Andy Berman's name and image from the opening credits, effectively erasing him from the show's history and making it appear as though Dennis was just a minor recurring character rather than a main cast member. This editing decision created a confusing viewing experience for anyone watching the reruns, because Dennis clearly appears as a significant character in multiple 1st season episodes, yet his name is nowhere to be found in the credits. The character simply disappeared after season 1 without any storyline explanation or farewell episode, and Berman never returned to the show in later seasons, which likely contributed to the decision to downplay his involvement in the syndicated versions. What makes this situation even more puzzling is that there has never been any public explanation from the show's creators, Warner Brothers, or the WB network about why they chose to edit out Berman's credit. Unlike other television shows where main characters leave due to contract disputes or creative differences that are later discussed in interviews or behind-the-scenes features, the Dennis situation has remained completely unexplained. The result is that anyone discovering the show through reruns would have no idea that Dennis was originally intended to be a main character, and even dedicated fans of the show are often surprised to learn that the bellhop was once given equal billing with the rest of the cast. This makes Andy Berman one of the most mysteriously erased characters in sitcom history, present in the episodes but absent from the official record. Fact 3. Hip-hop producer stole show dialogue. In one of the most unexpected connections between 1990s television and modern hip-hop music, a prominent producer named Pierre Bourne has been using audio directly lifted from The Jamie Foxx Show as his signature producer tag on countless rap songs. Producer tags are short audio clips that producers place at the beginning or throughout their beats to identify their work. Similar to how a photographer might watermark their images, and Bourne's tag has become one of the most recognizable sounds in contemporary hip-hop. The audio clip that Bourne uses features someone saying, "Yo Pierre, you want to come out here?" which he took from an early episode of The Jamie Foxx Show and has been using as his calling card on songs by major artists including Playboi Carti, Lil Uzi Vert, and many others. What makes this particularly fascinating is that the original dialogue had absolutely nothing to do with music production or hip-hop culture, but was simply part of a scene from the sitcom that aired when Bourne was likely just a child. Producer tags have become an essential part of hip-hop culture, with famous examples including Metro Boomin's "If Young Metro Don't Trust You" and DJ Khaled's "We the Best Music." But Bourne's choice to sample a random piece of dialogue from a comedy show represents a completely unique approach to branding his musical work. The tag has become so associated with his production style that fans immediately recognize it when they hear it on new songs, even though most listeners probably have no idea that they're hearing Jamie Foxx's voice or dialogue from his sitcom. This creates a strange cultural bridge where a 1990s African-American sitcom continues to have an active presence in contemporary music, with millions of hip-hop fans hearing clips from The Jamie Foxx Show without realizing it. The fact that Bourne chose this particular piece of audio and turned it into one of the most recognizable producer tags in modern rap music demonstrates how older television content can find completely unexpected new life in different forms of entertainment decades after it originally aired. Fact 4. 3 Marvel Universe stars under one roof. Long before the Marvel Cinematic Universe became the dominant force in Hollywood, 3 future Marvel movie stars were already working together on The Jamie Foxx Show, creating an accidental superhero reunion that wouldn't be recognized until decades later. When the sitcom was filming from 1996 to 2001, nobody could have predicted that 3 of its cast members would eventually join the massive Marvel franchise that would take over movie theaters worldwide. Jamie Foxx became the most prominent Marvel connection when he was cast as the supervillain Electro in The Amazing Spider-Man 2 in 2014, playing the electricity-powered antagonist opposite Andrew Garfield's Spider-Man. His performance was memorable enough that Marvel Studios brought him back to reprise the role in Spider-Man No Way Home in 2021, where he appeared alongside multiple Spider-Man actors from different movie universes. Garcelle Beauvais, who played Fancy Monroe and served as Jamie's love interest throughout the series, later appeared in Spider-Man Homecoming in 2017, where she portrayed Doris Toombs, the wife of the villain Adrian Toombs and mother of Liz Allen. Her role connected her to the same Spider-Man universe that would later include Jamie Foxx's return as Electro. Perhaps the most surprising Marvel connection involves Garrett Morris, who played Uncle Junior King and was already in his late 50s when The Jamie Foxx Show began. Morris appeared in the original Ant-Man movie in 2015 as a taxi driver, which was particularly fitting since he had actually portrayed Ant-Man in a Saturday Night Live sketch decades earlier in the 1970s, making him one of the first actors to ever play the character in any form. What makes this connection even more remarkable is that Morris had already established himself as the original Ant-Man performer long before Paul Rudd took on the role, so his appearance in the official Marvel movie served as both a new role and a nostalgic callback to his earlier work. The fact that all 3 actors from the same 1990s sitcom would eventually find their way into Marvel movies, spanning different films and characters across nearly a decade, represents an almost impossible coincidence in Hollywood casting. Fact 5. Michael Clarke Duncan's pre-fame hotel security. One of the most fascinating examples of life imitating art on The Jamie Foxx Show involves Michael Clarke Duncan, who appeared in the pilot episode as a security guard during a gambling scene, while simultaneously working as Jamie Foxx's actual bodyguard in real life. This dual role created a unique situation where Duncan was literally playing a version of his real job on television, years before he would become one of Hollywood's most recognizable actors. At the time of filming in 1996, Duncan was working in the personal protection business in Los Angeles, providing security services for various celebrities including Jamie Foxx, Will Smith, Martin Lawrence, LL Cool J, and even the notorious B.I.G. Duncan had moved to Los Angeles from Chicago with dreams of becoming an actor, but like many aspiring performers, he took security work to pay the bills while pursuing auditions and small roles. When the Jamie Foxx Show was casting its pilot episode, Duncan's connection to Jamie Foxx through his bodyguard work led to him being offered a small role as a security guard in the gambling scene. The casting was almost certainly influenced by Duncan's imposing physical presence and his real-world experience in security work, making him a natural fit for the role even though he was still relatively unknown as an actor. What makes this story even more remarkable is that Duncan was on the verge of quitting the bodyguard business entirely due to a traumatic incident. He had been scheduled to work as the notorious B.I.G.'s bodyguard on the night the rapper was killed in 1997, but a friend had covered for him that evening. The tragedy prompted Duncan to leave personal protection work behind and focus entirely on his acting career. Within just a few years of his small appearance on The Jamie Foxx Show, Duncan would land his breakthrough role as Bear in the blockbuster movie Armageddon in 1998, followed by his Academy Award-nominated performance as John Coffey in The Green Mile in 1999. His appearance on the sitcom represents one of his earliest on-screen roles, captured at the exact moment when he was transitioning from real-life security work to becoming a major Hollywood star. Fact 6. The actor who coined Broham. Christopher B. Duncan, who played the uptight and sophisticated Braxton P. Hartnebrig on The Jamie Foxx Show, is widely credited with creating the term broham that became popular slang during the late 1990s and early 2000s, though this linguistic contribution would later become both a blessing and a curse for his acting career. The term, which combines bro and ham to create a casual way of addressing someone, emerged from Duncan's character interactions on the show and quickly spread beyond the series into everyday conversation. Braxton served as the perfect straight man to Jamie Foxx's wild and unpredictable character, with his formal speech patterns and buttoned-down personality, providing a constant source of comedy through their contrasting styles. Duncan's portrayal of Braxton was so memorable and specific that audiences strongly associated him with the character's mannerisms, vocabulary, and overall persona, which included the frequent use of terms like broham when addressing other characters. The popularity of the show and Duncan's memorable performance meant that broham entered the cultural lexicon and became a widely recognized piece of slang that people used in real conversations, making Duncan responsible for contributing a new word to American English. However, this cultural impact came with an unexpected downside that would affect Duncan's career for years to come. Despite Duncan's training as a serious actor with a Bachelor of Fine Arts degree and his ability to perform in dramatic roles, casting directors and producers became so strongly associated with his Braxton character that they struggled to see him in other types of roles. In later interviews, Duncan revealed that this typecasting had actually hurt his career opportunities, as industry professionals would often only consider him for similar uptight, comedic characters rather than the diverse range of roles he was capable of performing. Duncan went on to play President Barack Obama on The Tonight Show with Jay Leno and appeared in the film My Name is Khan, as well as guest starring on numerous television shows including NCIS, Bones, Castle, and The Practice. He also landed the leading role of President William Johnson in the sitcom The First Family. But the shadow of Braxton and the broham phenomenon continued to follow him throughout his career. Fact 7. Ted Koppel gets a bizarre parody. One of Jamie Foxx's most memorable recurring characters on The Jamie Foxx Show was Tyrone Koppel, a hilarious parody of the respected ABC News anchor Ted Koppel that combined serious broadcast journalism with street-smart urban culture in completely unexpected ways. Ted Koppel was famous during the 1980s and 90s as the host of Nightline, Known for his distinctive speaking style, serious demeanor, and authoritative voice when covering major news events and political stories. Jamie Foxx's version, Tyrone Koppel, maintained all of Ted Koppel's formal broadcasting mannerisms and measured speaking patterns, but would suddenly inject phrases like "West Side" and "back up off me" into his news reports, using the exact same serious, professional tone that made the real Ted Koppel such a respected figure in television journalism. The comedy came from the jarring contrast between Koppel's dignified presentation style and the completely inappropriate street slang that Tyrone would seamlessly weave into his reporting. This character represented Jamie Foxx's talent for impersonation and his ability to find humor in unexpected combinations of high and low culture, taking something as formal and establishment-oriented as network news broadcasting and mixing it with the kind of language and attitudes that would never appear on actual television news programs. Tyrone Koppel would deliver his reports with the same gravitas and authority as his real-life counterpart, making the sudden appearance of urban slang even more surprising and funny to audiences. The character also demonstrated Foxx's skill at voice work and mimicry, as he was able to capture not just Ted Koppel's speaking patterns, but also his physical mannerisms and overall presentation style, while adding his own comedic twist. This type of character work showed the range that would later make Foxx successful in dramatic roles, as he was clearly able to study and replicate the specific qualities that made public figures recognizable to audiences. Fans of the show particularly enjoyed the Tyrone Koppel segments, and the character became one of the most requested and memorable recurring elements of the Jamie Foxx Show, representing the kind of creative comedy writing that helped distinguish the series from other sitcoms of the same era. Fact 8. The same actor played two different characters. In one of the most confusing casting decisions in the Jamie Foxx Show's history, actor Sully McCullough appeared as two completely different characters across multiple seasons, with no explanation or acknowledgement from the show's writers or producers. McCullough first appeared in Season 3, during an episode titled "Where There's a Will," playing a character that was entirely separate from the role that would later make him a regular cast member. Then, beginning in Season 4 and continuing through the show's final season, McCullough returned to the series as Dwayne "Mouse" Abercrombie, a recurring character who became part of Jamie's social circle and appeared in 24 episodes over the course of 2 seasons. Mouse was portrayed as a friend and frequent companion to Jamie, often involved in various schemes and adventures around the King's Tower Hotel. What makes this situation particularly strange is that the show never addressed or explained why the same actor was playing a completely different person, and there was no attempt to disguise McCullough's appearance or suggest that the characters were related in any way. Television shows occasionally recast roles with different actors, and sometimes actors return to play relatives of their original characters, but it's extremely unusual for the same performer to play two entirely unconnected roles on the same series without any storyline explanation. McCullough was already an established actor and comedian at the time, known for his role as Crazy Legs in the Wayans brothers' spoof movie Don't Be a Menace to South Central while drinking your juice in the hood, so his face would have been recognizable to many viewers who had seen his previous work. This makes the decision to use him in 2 different roles even more puzzling, as audiences familiar with his earlier appearance would likely notice the inconsistency. The show's writers and producers have never publicly explained this casting choice, leaving fans to speculate about whether it was an oversight, a deliberate decision that simply wasn't addressed on screen, or perhaps the result of McCullough's strong performance in his first appearance, leading to an offer for a larger recurring role. Regardless of the reasoning, it remains one of the most unusual examples of an actor playing multiple unrelated characters on the same television series. Fact 9. Hospital bed filming during recovery. In one of the most unusual examples of method acting meeting real-life circumstances, the producers of Martin literally filmed scenes with Garrett Morris while he was lying in his actual hospital bed, recovering from gunshot wounds sustained during a robbery attempt in 1994. Morris had been playing Stan Winters, Martin Lawrence's boss at the radio station WZUP. when the shooting occurred and left him temporarily unable to continue working on the show. Rather than simply writing the character out of the series or recasting the role, the show's writers came up with a creative solution that involved having Stan Winters become a national fugitive who needed to undergo plastic surgery to change his appearance and avoid capture by law enforcement. This storyline provided a perfect explanation for why the character would need to disappear from the show, but it also required filming a scene where Stan was shown preparing for his surgical procedure. The production team decided to film this crucial scene while Morris was actually hospitalized and recovering from his real injuries, creating a surreal situation where the actor was playing a character getting plastic surgery while he himself was receiving medical treatment for gunshot wounds. The scene showed Stan lying in a hospital bed, about to undergo the procedure that would supposedly change his face and allow him to start a new life as a fugitive. This filming arrangement was both practical and deeply strange, as it allowed the show to maintain continuity with Morris's character while acknowledging his real-world unavailability, but it also meant that Morris was essentially working while recovering from a traumatic and potentially life-threatening incident. The fact that his character's need for medical attention matched his own real-life situation created an uncomfortable parallel between fiction and reality. When Morris eventually made a guest appearance on Martin during the show's third season, he was still walking with a cane due to his injuries, but the show explained this by saying that Stan had been in a car crash during a police chase rather than acknowledging the real circumstances of Morris's shooting. This final appearance provided closure for the character while maintaining the fictional explanation for his physical condition and extended absence from the series. Fact 10. Season 5, DVD Curse. One of the most perplexing mysteries surrounding the Jamie Foxx Show involves the complete absence of Season 5 from physical DVD releases, creating a frustrating gap for collectors and fans who want to own the complete series more than 20 years after the show ended. Warner Home Video released Season 1 on DVD in February of 2005, followed by Seasons 2 through 4 through their Warner Archive collection, as manufacturer-on-demand releases that could be ordered online or through Amazon. The Warner Archive releases were part of a program that allowed the studio to make less commercially viable titles available to dedicated fans without the expense of mass-producing DVDs for retail stores, which seemed like the perfect solution for a show like The Jamie Foxx Show that had a devoted following but might not generate huge sales numbers. However, for reasons that have never been publicly explained by Warner Brothers or any of the show's producers, Season 5 was completely excluded from this release strategy. What makes this situation even more confusing is that Season 5 contains some of the most important episodes of the entire series, including the show's finale where Jamie and Fancy finally get married after years of romantic tension. This means that fans who purchase the available DVD seasons are left without the conclusion to the central storyline that ran throughout the show's entire 5-year run. The absence becomes even more puzzling when considering that all episodes of The Jamie Foxx Show, including the complete 5th season, have been made available on various streaming platforms over the years. The show appeared on HBO Max in November of 2021, and episodes have been accessible through other digital platforms, proving that there are no legal or technical issues preventing the 5th season from being distributed to consumers. This creates a strange situation where fans can stream the episodes but cannot purchase them in physical form, leaving collectors with an incomplete set and no official explanation for why Warner Brothers chose to stop the DVD releases just 1 season short of completion. The decision is particularly baffling, given that the manufacture-on-demand model used for Seasons 2 through 4 would have made it relatively inexpensive to produce Season 5 DVDs for the fans who specifically requested them. Fact 11. Ice Cube's wedding ring disappears. During Ice Cube's guest appearance on The Jamie Foxx Show in the Season 2 episode titled West Side, a curious detail in the credits reveals an interesting contradiction between the rapper's real life and his on-screen behavior that raises questions about whether he was truly playing himself as the show claimed. The episode, which aired in February of 1997, featured Ice Cube along with his West Side Connection group mates Mac 10 and WC, as guests staying at the King's Tower Hotel, while Jamie tries to follow his aunt and uncle's rules about not throwing wild parties. Throughout the episode, Ice Cube's character continuously flirts with Fancy, played by Garcelle Beauvais, making romantic advances and showing clear interest in pursuing a relationship with her, despite the fact that she works at the hotel and is the object of Jamie's own romantic pursuits. This flirtatious behavior becomes particularly notable when viewers notice that Ice Cube is not wearing his wedding ring during any of his scenes, which creates a significant problem with how the show chose to credit his appearance. At the end of the episode, Ice Cube is specifically credited as playing himself rather than a fictional character, which is the standard way that television shows acknowledge when real celebrities appear as themselves rather than taking on scripted roles. However, this credit becomes technically inaccurate when considering that the real Ice Cube was married at the time of filming and would presumably not have been openly flirting with other women or removing his wedding ring to do so. The absence of the wedding ring combined with the flirtatious behavior suggests that Ice Cube was actually playing a fictional version of himself rather than appearing as his authentic real-life persona, which would make the himself credit misleading to audiences. This type of celebrity appearance often blurs the line between reality and fiction, as shows like to promote the idea that famous guests are playing themselves to generate excitement and publicity, even when the character's actions don't match what the real person would likely do. The situation highlights the often confusing nature of celebrity cameos on television shows, where the marketing benefit of claiming someone is playing themselves sometimes conflicts with the creative needs of the storyline that require the celebrity to behave in ways that don't reflect their actual personality or circumstances. Fact 12. R&B legends play fake family. In one of the most star-studded episodes of The Jamie Foxx Show, two genuine R&B legends appeared together as father and daughter in the Season 2 episode Papa Don't Preach, creating a fictional family relationship between artists who were already established icons in the music industry. Ronald Isley, the lead singer of the legendary Isley Brothers, who had been recording hit songs since the 1950s, played Reverend Leroy Bullock, an overprotective preacher father who disapproves of his daughter's musical aspirations. Mary J. Blige, who was already known as the Queen of Hip-Hop Soul by the time the episode aired in January of 1998, played his talented daughter who dreams of pursuing a career in music despite her father's religious objections. The episode's plot centered around Jamie getting caught in the middle of this family conflict when he tries to help the young woman follow her musical dreams while dealing with her father's stern disapproval of the entertainment industry. What made this casting particularly special was that both Isley and Blige were genuine musical royalty rather than actors playing musicians, bringing authentic credibility to their roles as people deeply connected to the world of professional music. Ronald Isley had already been performing for over 4 decades by this point, with the Isley Brothers responsible for classic songs that had influenced generations of musicians, while Mary J. Blige had revolutionized R&B music in the early 1990s by blending hip-hop beats with traditional soul vocals. The episode featured Mary J. Blige performing an original song alongside Jamie Foxx, creating a unique musical collaboration between the sitcom star and one of the most respected vocalists in contemporary R&B. This performance allowed viewers to see both artists showcasing their singing abilities within the context of the show's storyline, rather than simply making cameo appearances or playing non-musical characters. The age difference between Isley and Blige made their casting as father and daughter believable, while their real-world musical expertise added depth and authenticity to the episode's exploration of family tensions around artistic ambition. This type of stunt casting with legitimate musical legends helped elevate The Jamie Foxx Show beyond typical sitcom guest appearances and demonstrated the show's ability to attract major talent from the music industry. Fact 13. The show's secret LA inside jokes. According to longtime fans and viewers who lived in Los Angeles during The Jamie Foxx Show's original run, from 1996 to 2001, the series was filled with countless references to specific Los Angeles locations, cultural phenomena, and local inside jokes that created an entirely different viewing experience for people familiar with the city compared to audiences watching from other parts of the country. These references were woven throughout the show's dialogue, storylines, and background details in ways that often went completely unnoticed by viewers who weren't familiar with Los Angeles geography, local businesses, or regional cultural quirks. The show's writers and producers, who were presumably working and living in Los Angeles while creating the series, incorporated references to specific neighborhoods, local establishments, traffic patterns, and other elements of daily life in the city that would be immediately recognizable to locals but might sound like generic place names or random details to viewers from other areas. This created a layered comedy experience where Los Angeles residents could enjoy both the main storylines and an additional level of humor based on their personal familiarity with the locations and situations being referenced. Fans who have discussed the show online over the years have noted that these Los Angeles-specific jokes covered everything from references to particular freeways and their notorious traffic problems to mentions of local radio stations, restaurants, and entertainment venues that were popular during the 1990s. The references also apparently included subtle nods to the social dynamics and cultural divisions within different parts of Los Angeles, creating humor that relied on understanding the relationships between various neighborhoods and communities. This approach to writing created an almost secret language within the show that rewarded local viewers for their knowledge, while still maintaining the broader comedy that made the series accessible to national audiences. The fact that many of these references have been specifically noted by fans suggests that they were frequent enough and specific enough to be noticed, rather than just occasional throwaway lines, indicating that the show's creators made a deliberate effort to ground the series in authentic Los Angeles culture and geography in ways that went far beyond simply setting the action in the city. Fact 14. Muppet references in crime episodes. One of the most unexpected recurring elements in the Jamie Foxx Show was the writer's tendency to insert references to Jim Henson's beloved Muppet characters during otherwise serious or dramatic storylines, creating jarring moments of childhood nostalgia in the middle of adult situations that had nothing to do with children's entertainment. These references appeared multiple times throughout the series, suggesting that the show's writers had a deliberate fascination with combining the innocent world of Sesame Street with the more mature themes and situations that Jamie and his friends encountered. The most notable example occurred in the Season 1 episode titled "Break Yourself, Fool," where Jamie and Braxton find themselves taken hostage during a bank robbery, a genuinely tense situation that could have been played entirely for drama or suspense. However, during this frightening scenario, one of the armed robbers looks at Jamie and Braxton and refers to them as Bert and Ernie, comparing the two friends to the famous Sesame Street roommates who have been entertaining children since the early 1970s. This reference is particularly strange because Bert and Ernie are known for their innocent friendship and childlike adventures in their apartment, making them an odd comparison for two adult men who have just become victims of a serious crime. The juxtaposition of a violent robbery scenario with a reference to beloved children's television characters creates a surreal moment that seems designed to provide comic relief while also highlighting the absurdity of the situation. The show also included another Muppet reference in the Season 2 episode, Dog Pounded, where Aunt Helen refers to Jamie and Braxton as Muppet babies when she suspects they are hiding a dog in the hotel despite the building's no pets policy. This reference invokes the animated spin-off series that featured younger versions of the classic Muppet characters, again comparing the two adult men to children's entertainment figures. These Muppet references represent an unusual writing choice that demonstrates the show's willingness to blend different types of humor and cultural references, even when they created unexpected tonal shifts that mixed serious adult situations with nostalgic callbacks to childhood programming that most viewers would associate with completely different types of entertainment. Fact 15. Jamie's grandmother inspiration mirror. The Jamie Foxx Show was essentially Jamie Foxx's autobiography disguised as a fictional sitcom, with the show's basic premise and character background lifted almost directly from the real-life experiences that shaped Foxx's childhood and early adulthood in Texas. Both the fictional Jamie King and the real Eric Bishop, who would later become known as Jamie Foxx, were born and raised in Terrell, Texas, a small city about 30 miles east of Dallas that provided the foundation for both the characters and the performers' understanding of small-town life and family dynamics. The most significant parallel between fiction and reality involves the family structure that defined both Jamie's upbringing, as the show established that Jamie King had minimal contact with his birth parents and was instead raised by his aunt and uncle, who provided him with stability and guidance throughout his formative years. In real life, Jamie Foxx experienced an almost identical situation, though with a slight variation in the family relationships involved. Foxx was actually raised by his mother's adoptive parents, Esther Marie Nelson and Mark Talley, who took him in shortly after his birth when his biological parents were unable to care for him properly. Like his fictional counterpart, Foxx had very little contact with his birth parents throughout his childhood, and has frequently credited his grandmother with being the most important influence in his life, and the primary reason for his eventual success in entertainment. The show also mirrored Foxx's real experience of moving from Texas to Los Angeles to pursue a career in entertainment, working various jobs to support himself while auditioning for roles and performing stand-up comedy in clubs throughout the city. This autobiographical foundation gave the Jamie Foxx Show an authenticity that many sitcoms lack, as the central character's motivations, background, and personality traits were all grounded in Foxx's actual experiences rather than purely fictional constructs. Even the character's name reflected this personal connection, as Jamie King shared the same first name as Jamie Foxx's chosen stage persona, while the last name King connected to the hotel where the character worked, creating a symbolic link between the fictional character's identity and his environment that paralleled Foxx's own journey from Eric Bishop to Jamie Foxx.